Good evening and thank you for joining us here at GBS News 9. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge, and together we'll be taking you through the stories making headlines tonight. But first, here are the highlights. It is a deal finally. Kenya-Uganda signs petroleum deal, ending bilateral tensions in petroleum pipeline passage.
We are demanding that the corruption in the City Hall comes to an end.
Mathare resident resists forceful evacuations, demanding answers from government over compensation.
Kugawanywa kwa pesa sio shida ambayo inakaba watu wa Mount Kenya peke yake.
Waiguru first Mount Kenya leader to rubbish the Rimuru 3 house for the vote 1 shilling.
It's really sad. So I want to know about this case and the amount that you owe the lawyer.
National Land Commission appears before Land Committee over failed land cases. And now the government of Kenya and Uganda have signed an agreement for transportation of petroleum to Uganda via Kenya at State House, Nairobi today. President William Ruto, who hosted his counterpart from Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni, assured Kenya of safer transportation of goods to Uganda. A 3-day state visit of Ugandan President to Kenya is expected to be of economic value to both countries, as Davis Karani reports.
The Uganda's president's 3-day state visit to Kenya is expected to breathe and spur economic growth between two nations after President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda and President William Ruto of Kenya signed an agreement for the transportation of petroleum to Uganda through Kenyan nation. The signing of the agreement happens 1 month after Kenya barred Uganda National Oil Company, also abbreviated as UNOC, from selling oil to neighboring countries in a move to protect transit market for Kenya Pipeline Company and local oil farms in the country, and instead, for the benefit of both nations, Ruto promised an open market for the petroleum companies between the two countries, and as a result of the agreement, Kenya Pipeline will now be extended from Eldoret to Kampala, Uganda.
We have also agreed that we will now explore jointly the extension of the pipeline from Eldoret to Kampala that will form the conversation in the next joint ministerial committee.
The state visit of Uganda's president to Kenya is believed to have been as a result of a joint ministerial commission between Kenya and Uganda, during which several memoranda of understanding were signed in the area of public service management, SMEs, trade and investment, among other major issues, as President Museveni confirms.
This integration is to fight the battle of prosperity. You should understand this. Because if somebody is efficiently producing something, and we support him, he will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And another one from Uganda will also grow in something else. Another one from Tanzania.
President Museveni will be in the country for 3 days, in which his visit is expected to end social, political and economic differences faced between the two nations. Davis Karani, GBS News, State House.
As the death toll of the ongoing floods continues to rise, the country is still suffering as flood waters ravage the homes and aspirations of Mathare residents. A mother's grief echoes through the streets after a 17-year-old son fell victim to a bulldozer which is currently sweeping away not just houses but hope for the vulnerable communities as they grapple with the forced evictions. Residents and protesters took the streets demanding justice and accountability from authorities. Susan Ganga with the full report.
First came the floods, washing away people's homes and livelihoods. Then came the bulldozers sweeping away what was left. For Winnie Makinda, the bulldozer killed her 17-year-old son Ian Henry Otieno, who was killed when the bulldozer crushed his skull.
Wakaua mwenye anadhanilisha. Nimesomesha mpaka form 3 nani? Ai, peke yangu. Ananga baba. Ananga chocho. Ananga guka. Mimi ndio kila kitu. Kama mtoto wangu auliwe. Ako pale jana nimeenda. Nimempata kutu pale. Kitu tunajua nao ni jezi ya Arsenal na leni ya jeans. Mofu ya blue. Ukiona kichwa. Ai baba.
The heavy rainfall has prompted the government to order evacuations from flood-prone areas, resulting in the demolition of homes and tragic loss of life. In response, Nairobi residents accompanied by human rights activists took to the streets to protest against what they view as unplanned development projects and unjust evictions. Dressed in black and carrying placards, protesters halted at various points to voice their grievances. Concerns were raised about non-compliant building approvals and the dangers of structural collapse.
Enough is enough. We are demanding that the corruption in the City Hall comes to an end. Those who are issuing permits, we need to know who they are so that they can be held personally liable. And most importantly, as the residents of Nairobi, we are calling out and calling upon Governor Sakaja to be present. We are here now, waiting for him.
Human rights organizations have criticized the eviction in informal settlements, calling for a community-centered relocation action plan that prioritizes inclusivity, transparency, and accountability.
We have a river in South B. They were demolishing one side of the river that has what they're calling the kijiji or informal settlements. But the side that has nyumba za wenye wako na pesa or what we can call middle class or factories were left intact. And in fact, some of the places that they were demolishing, the houses of the informal settlements were not even as near to the river as well.
The toll of the floods continues to mount, with 2 more lives lost in the past 24 hours, bringing the toll of the fatalities since the onset of the rains to 291. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
Alego Usonga Member of Parliament Samuel Atandi has urged Kenyans to take to the streets if the Kenya Kwanza regime insists on heavy taxation. Atandi, who has vowed to oppose the Finance Bill 2024, said that the increased taxation during the next budget, say that whereas most Kenyans were opposed to the heavy taxation, a lot of members of Parliament have been compromised and will support it despite its effect on the daily lives of Kenyans. He was speaking at Mahola Primary School in West Alego location after launching the National Government Constituency Development Fund projects in the institution. The legislature say that it was unfortunate that President William Ruto keeps on bragging on his intention to increase taxation in total disregard of the suffering of the citizens. He said that the heavily taxing Kenyans, the Kenya Kwanza government does not punish opposition supporters but was exposing everyone, including its supporters, to suffering.
We told Kenyans that this man, William Ruto, is not capable of proper governance. We told you that this guy, we know his track record. You did not listen to us. So sometimes I want to tell Ruto to increase this taxes so that those who voted for Ruto can feel the pain. But because my people, the ones who voted for us, also we suffer in the same magnitude, I would like to say that all these taxes that Ruto is trying to increase, me as a Alego Usonga Member of Parliament, I'm going to oppose them. I know many members of Parliament are compromised. Recently, we were voting to impeach Minister Linturi. Many MPs were compromised. They were given money to vote against the report, especially the MPs that we took to the select committee. I want to tell William Ruto that we are not going to allow you to increase taxes. And I want to join those people who are saying that if these taxes must prevail, then we must go to for mandamano. Yarima na mandamano ya manya kwa bia. Many countries that have achieved political and economic liberation have resorted to public uprising when regimes become rogue. This regime is rogue, and the only solution we have is public uprising. Yeah. And we are going to continue and to enforce public uprising until those people who are in power, they begin to listen to their voices.
Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Waiguru has today exerted criticism on the supporters of the one man, one vote, one shilling movement. Speaking at a food distribution at St. Luke's ACK Church in Mwea constituency, Waiguru dismissed proponents of the movement, saying that as governors, they have presented their proposals on revenue allocation across the country. The debate has attracted views across the political divide after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua hinted at pushing for the implementation of the one-man, one-vote formula. Here are the details.
Giving her views on the now controversial one-man, one-vote, one-shilling debate, the Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has criticized the proponents of the movement, saying it has been aimed at derailing the Kenya Kwanza's development agenda.
Ukiangalia katika serikali, hii sio kitu ya Mount Kenya peke yake. Unaelewa? Kugawanywa kwa pesa sio shida ambayo inakaba watu wa Mount Kenya peke yake. Sisi tunataka kuangalia ya kwamba pesa ziongezwe katika county governments, zipate pesa ya kutosha ili waweze kuhudumia wananchi kulingana na constitution ya Kenya. Hapo ndipo mimi niko.
According to Anne Waiguru, the Mount Kenya region is not comparable to other regions which still have large population, and wants authorities against regional politics that can cause divides in the country. The debate has attracted views across the political divide after the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua hinted at pushing for the implementation of the one-man, one-vote, one-shilling formula.
In matters revenue sharing, Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, is a believer and a proponent of one man, one vote, one shilling.
ELA Member of Parliament Hassan Omar has also called out the Deputy President over the call for revenue allocation formula.
Hiyo itatuletea uhasama mkubwa sana ndani ya hii Kenya. Lakini nchi inaishi ina kitu inaitwa constitutional arrangement. Sisi ndio tulitetea hii katiba kuleta usawa wa kijamii, social justice.
Waiguru has however maintained that as governors, they have already presented their proposals on revenue allocation across the country. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
The Kenya Wildlife Service on Thursday warned residents of Langata in Nairobi about 3 roaming lions in the area. According to the Wildlife Service, it received reports about the 3 lions last evening after they were allegedly sighted near Langata, a women's prison in Nairobi. In response, the KWS Problem Animal Control Team promptly mobilized and conducted a thorough search of the area. Upon arrival at the scene, the officers dispersed the crowd that had assembled to get a glimpse of the sub-adult lion, as any noise from the crowd would easily agitate it. In through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. We have a lot lined up for you in our new segment tonight, but first let us take a quick break. We'll be right back with even more.
The 12 commandments of cancer prevention.
When you look at it realistically, it's something that starts from within you, from your own cells. So all of us, as we are seated here, some cancer cells are forming, but we have a secret service in the body which is more efficient if you have had enough sleep, or if you have exercised, or if you are having enough fruit and vegetables to mop up the radicals. That secret service is called the natural killer cells. They are always killing the cells so that they don't develop in full-blown cancer.
Basic and simple things that we all know, but apparently we don't practice.
We're having a big problem because this country soon have no human beings.
When you hear about cancer, sometimes you think it's the end of the world.
You are overthinking, you get? So you're secreting a lot of stress hormones. So why can't you relax? Or maybe just remove your shoes and walk bare feet.
And remember, the topic of the day is embracing one's role as a single man.
Ile ingine ni kutengwa na watu. Watu wengi ukiona single mother akiongea na bwanako, naingiza zinakuanga tu bwana kuembea.
Kuna any organization inaweza kuwa at least hata ile msupport, ama ni wewe tumengangana kivyako akaingia hivyo.
Face creams wenye wanatumianga. But before unjuane na hao wamama akina kuanga ngumu. Unapatanga huyo mtoto already amechange yokara, juu hafai kukaa kwa njua.
Kuna hiyo organization inakuanga na plans za kuongelesha watoto.
Kama wazazi
in future wanaji accept. By the time wana realize they are not different. They are different.
I think akili yangu ilikuja kuona kabisa niko peke yangu. Ni penye saa unapigia handi au mambeste, kuna mtu anakuchukulia simu. Na mimi nilikuanga na mambeste wengi. Mimi niliachiwa tu mmoja. Anaitwa Shkosheila. Akiona hii video, thank you so much mama.
Thank you, Shiko.
Akuwasangi enjoy. Alisimama na mimi.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News 9. U.S. Ambassador to Kenya Meg Whitman on Wednesday advised President William Ruto to change his tax collection strategy to a more harmonious one that will not hurt Kenyans. She spoke at State House when President William Ruto hosted Harvard University delegation, where the head of state answered questions from students, while Whitman urged him to expand the tax base, which she exuded confidence will create more jobs. The former Silicon Valley executive stated that more better paying jobs with a steady paycheck and some benefits would immensely aid the government meet its annual tax target without hurting the citizens. According to the U.S. ambassador, it was difficult for the government to meet its revenue collection target by just taxing the same people every other time. Whitman's comments followed
our continent. The principle is that you must live within your means. This has been my message to the people of Kenya. For maybe 12 years, we've been running 8-9% fiscal deficit, which means you're spending money that you're not collecting. And you keep, digging a bigger hole to fill the other one all the time. And now we have a debt that is heading towards unsustainable. So when I came into office, I told everybody, tighten up your belts. I am not going to preside over a bankrupt country. I am not going to preside over a country that is in debt distress. We have to cut our spending. And there is no free lunch. And we have to think of what we need to do two fundamental things. Reduce. We cannot spend what we don't have. And number two, if we look at our peers, and Kenyans have been socialized to believe that they pay the highest taxes. But empirical data shows Kenya as of last year our tax as a percentage of our revenues was 14%. Our peers in the continent is on average between 22 and 25%, which means we are way below, our taxes are way below those of our peers, you know. And I'm not comparing ourselves with OECD countries. You know, countries like France are at 45%. You know, others are higher. So I persuaded and I made a case to the people of Kenya that we must begin to enhance our revenue. Because if we are a serious state, we must be able to enhance our taxes. So my drive is to push Kenya. Possibly this year we will be at 16%.
Last 2 years, as you now know.
In a compelling session before the National Assembly Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee, the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs underscored the pressing need for increased financial allocations to the State Department of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Addressing the committee during the presentation of the 2024-2025 financial year estimates of revenue and expenditure and the 2023-2024 supplementary estimates, Mudavadi articulated a series of compelling justifications for the additional budgetary requirements, each grounded in Kenya's overreaching commitment to fortify its stature as a regional and continental powerhouse and to enhance its diplomatic outreach on global stage. The call for additional budgetary allocations resonates with Kenya's strategic vision to assert itself as a leading regional player, enhancing diplomatic ties, fostering peace and stability, and safeguarding the interests of citizens both at home and abroad.
Going forward, there are also other issues that I will appeal to this committee to look at seriously, particularly when you're looking at us going into the financial year 2024-2025. One of the things that we have put on the table is that Kenya is sponsoring and putting across the candidacy of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga for the position of AU Chair Commission. And it is important for us to acknowledge that there will be a lot of movement and support required by the government of Kenya in this endeavor. So these are some of the issues that we may not list all of them here, but they present a case for us to be looked at seriously, bearing in mind that the Kenya's diplomatic space and profile has risen to an anchor state, and it is absolutely essential that we move aggressively.
The National Assembly Departmental Committee on Lands has challenged the Land Commission, the National Land Commission, to put its legal department in order, a stopgap measure to enhance more prudent spending of funds allocated to the Commission. Then the NLC team was appearing before the committee chaired by North Mugirango Member of Parliament Joash Nyamoko when the members of Parliament raised concerns about the huge spending by the Commission occurring from court disputes. The NLC team, led by their chairperson Gasham Otachi and Chief Executive Officer Kabale Tache, however, indicated that most of the said spending originated from court cases inherited from the Ministry of Lands prior to the inception of the 2010 Constitution.
You made the account a sitting duck, so you basically assisted this lawyer, probably didn't put in a very strong defense. I think, Chair, we should be asking our legal team to look at the actual case, to look at whether it was well defended, to look at what was in that account, when was the amount attached, And why was he attaching this amount? Did we owe him that much fees, or did we owe him more than that? Are you still waiting for more accounts to be attached? So, because sometimes I think that the lawyers in this country, sadly, are part and parcel of the corruption. It's so easy for you to say it's legal fees. Now we've gotten it to an even bigger. We've taken it a notch higher. Now it's not just legal fees; it's legal fees attached and account surrendered. It's really sad. So I want to know about this case and the amount that you owe the lawyer and the amount that was in the account. Did he take everything that was in the account, or did he leave something in that account? Or was it exactly you owed him more, so he took everything? I need to understand that.
Okay. Chair, I've expressed my fears for a long time about the legal department with NLC. They have never won a case. They have never won a case, according to my research. They have never won a single case, and it is by design.
The normal budget is 16 million for legal, is that? Which seems to be very low. Yes. But when you look at the pending bill, it's 1.4 billion. There is an institution with almost 400 million. The other time when you came, it was more or less the same. Then we made a payment. Does it mean there was another payment which had not been declared?
Legal is where we have an issue. We have both historical and current issues. Remember, we inherited over 9,000 cases from the former Commissioner of Land, Ministry of Land. Those cases are still on us, and most of these cases which we are now being charged, some of them are historical. So even current one. So the legal land issues we never support cases, and I'm glad that Honorable Baz has noted that, Honorable Chair. So this is what we requested, and you can see the DPS 16 million, and even in the approved actual budget 16 million. So that maybe that's what we're doing.
Poor workmanship has been blamed for the collapse of toilets in schools across Embu County as a result of heavy rainfall. Speaking in his office, County Director of Education, Kosgei Kipruto, said that from their assessment, the majority of collapsed toilets point towards weak structural integrity. Here is more on the same. In a distressing turn of events, the recent collapse of school toilets in Embu County has been attributed to poor workmanship, leaving communities grappling with the aftermath of heavy rainfall. Kosgei Kipruto, the County Director of Education, shed light on the dire situation, emphasizing that a significant number of these failures stem from structural flaws. Expressing concern from his office, Kipruto urged school administrations to exercise heightened vigilance during construction endeavors.
So emphasize on the need to supervise construction, especially on critical installations like those toilets, in a way that will be able to withstand the pressure of, for example, wind and even the raging waters if we have excess waters. For most of the schools where the toilets collapsed, we have also advised the schools to fence off the areas so that we do not have a situation where students are going very close to the sites.
The call for improved oversight underscored a collective responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of students and staff alike. As Embu County grapples with this challenge, it is evident that a collective effort is needed to address the underlying issues and prevent similar occurrences in the future. Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. Our report brings us to our international news, but first let us take a quick commercial break.
Today on the show, we are talking about nurturing their emotional intelligence in children.
The parents of this generation, they are very busy. Whereby we have left the gadgets to be in charge, and the house managers.
Especially when you're thinking about yourself, there are three levels of thoughts. There is the first level, there is the second level of thought, and there is also the third level of thought.
What is nurturing a child in the emotional intelligence way?
A lot of focus has been put on the intelligence.
And when we talk about desire and self-control, desire is something that is in our hearts. But self-control does not come from within us.
And at what age are we supposed now to start molding our children and correcting whenever they're doing wrong?
So through the 4 gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins.
지셨고,
he carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데.
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast, and now to matters international news. In a stirring both anticipation and concern, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, South Sudan currently faces an impending economic crisis as disruption in neighboring Sudan's oil exports, further exacerbating the existing challenges. The International Crisis Group, ICG, issued a warning on Wednesday. And according to the ICG, South Sudan's economy was on the brink of collapse due to the ongoing conflicts in Sudan, which have hindered its oil exports. With oil revenue crucial for stability, the government's finances, the breakdown of one South Sudan's primary pipeline further aggravated the situation. In a move stirring both anticipation and concern, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa signed a contentious national health insurance bill into law on Wednesday. This coming just a fortnight before a pivotal general election where the ruling African National Congress faces an unprecedented challenge to its parliamentary dominance. The signing of the bill represented a significant step towards achieving comprehensive universal health care coverage for all South Africans. However, uncertainty loomed large as doubt continued to persist over the law's practical implementation. Critics fear that the noble intentions behind the bill could be marred by systemic corruption and fiscal limitations as South Africa grapples with the funding shortages which hamper the delivery of even basic public services.
Is a commitment to eradicate the stark inequalities that have long determined who receives in our country, who receives adequate health care and who suffers from neglect. By putting in place a system that ensures equal access to health care regardless of a person's social and economic standing and circumstances.
The much contested bill aims to provide quality universal health coverage to all South Africans.
Some fear that yes, overnight, it is just boom, going to happen. And we are saying it's going to be phased. And if you are afraid of the NHI, take heart and courage from the fact that we are going to implement NHI in a phased manner so as to ensure that every sub-milestone becomes an important one to make the NHI much more effective.
Former President Ali Bongo, along with his two sons, young son Jalil and Bilal, embarked on a hunger strike, protesting that they have a legend as their confiscation and instances of torture against family members. Their legal representatives have filed a lawsuit in Paris Judicial Court seeking an investigation into these claims. Lawyers Francois Zimarey and Catalina de la Sota, responsible in leading the legal charge, aim to bring attention to the alleged injustices faced by the Bongo family through their move, which comes ahead of the scheduled visit to Gabon's current leader, General Brice Oligui Nguema, to Paris. In a crucial visit to Kyiv, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived on Tuesday, marking their first high-level U.S. official visit since the passage of a long-awaited aid package for Ukraine. During talks with President Zelensky, Blinken conveyed that a significant portion of the much-needed aid package had already reached Ukraine, with more en route. The arrival of this aid comes at a challenging time for Ukraine, a nation facing ongoing aggression from Russia, particularly in the northeast and east regions.
Some of it's already arrived, more of it will be arriving, and that's going to make a real difference against the ongoing Russian aggression on the battlefield. We're equally determined that over time, Ukraine stands strongly on its own feet, militarily, economically, democratically. A strong, successful, thriving, free Ukraine is the best possible rebuke to Putin and the best possible guarantor for your future.
I wanted to thank you from all my team, all Ukrainians, to crucial package for our forces, for our warriors. Thank you so much for this package. Thanks to Congress. Thanks President Biden. Please, best regards from us to him and to administration. We are thankful for bipartisan support, and I know you did a lot also for this positive decision, and of course we are very thankful for this to Americans, to American people. Air defense, the biggest deficit for us. I think that the biggest problem, yes, and we need today 2 Patriots for Kharkiv region, because the people are under attack.
King Charles III formally passed on the role of Colonel-in-Chief of the Army Air Corps to his son, Prince William, in a military ceremony at the Army Aviation Centre in southern England. On Tuesday, during the event in Meadowhall of Hampshire, the 75-year-old monarch expressed his confidence in Prince William, highlighting his son's exemplary piloting skills. A symbolic transition marking a significant moment as the king, who had held the position for 32 years, handing over the baton to his eldest son. Despite ongoing cancer treatment, King Charles engaged with the veterans at the event, discussing shared experiences, including the effects of chemotherapy. Following the handover, the Prince of Wales embarked on his inaugural engagement with the Army Air Corps, acquainting himself its operation and inspecting training and regional aircraft. Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And now for sports lovers, it is time for your most anticipated part of the news, the sports news. Let's get sporty. AFC Leopards secured a 1-0 victory over Kenya Police in the FKF Premier League match played on Wednesday, May 15th at Dandora Stadium. Police Sacco Stadium, Nairobi City Stars came sole goal coming from a Victor Immune strike in the 73rd minute from behind to earn a point against Tusker FC. The Brewers took a 2-goal advantage into the halftime break, following goals from Mike Kibwage and Eric Kapaito in the 12th and 27th minutes. The second half witnessed City Stars make a comeback after Samuel Kappen and Mohamed Ali found the back of the net in the 73rd and 89th minute. Round 30 is set to continue tomorrow with KCB hosting Gor Mahia at SportPesa Arena from 3 p.m.
Shuti lake likamsaliti tu Hassan Beja Shoka. Mkabaji na kiungo mshambuliaji. Hapa ameingia kama kiungo. Victor Muno Chami. Victor Muno Chami alikuwa anaileta kumtafuta kitego. Patrick Batasi Musosi kama ameshikwa na kifafa, anatapatapa na ule mpira mwenyewe akauvusha katika line ile na kuwapa uongozi Ingwe, amewapa uongozi FC Leopards. Edage Francis Kahato Nyambura anageuka, anakwenda chini, foul katika eneo hatari zaidi. Njano inatoka kwake Randy Bakari. Ilikuwa ni passing nzuri, akachenga uzuri tu Francis Kahato.
Bayer Leverkusen thrashed 10-man Bochum to notch up to 50 unbeaten matches in all competitions. If Leverkusen avoid defeat in the final league game of the season at home to Augsburg next Saturday, then it will become the first team to go through a Bundesliga campaign without tasting defeat. Xabi Alonso's side are now within one game of completing the first of an invincible treble. The last time Leverkusen tasted defeat was way back in 2023. Their opponents were Bochum, which ran out 3-0 winners in the final day of the 2022-2023 Bundesliga season. Manchester United won their first Women's FA Cup trophy in style as they comfortably beat first-time finalist Tottenham Hotspur at Wembley Stadium. It was second successful final appearance for United, but they shrugged off last year's disappointing defeat by Chelsea to pick up a first major women's trophy. Mark Skinner's side played with confidence from the start and imposed their dominance on the set pieces, missing several chances before Fortune eventually produced an unstoppable strike. England international Ella Toone scored a stunning goal on the stroke of halftime, and Spurs never recovered, with Rachel Williams and Rusia Garcia extending United's lead after the break. Juventus beat Atlanta 1-0 to win a record-extending 15th Coppa Italia on Wednesday as an early strike by Dusan and Allegri side the first major trophy in 3 years. Juventus, who hold both the record for most Italian Cup finals, played 22 and won 15, had not lifted any silverware since he won the competition in 2020 to 2021, when they also beat Atlanta in the final. Dusan scored the only goal in the Rome Stadio Olympic after just 4 minutes when received Andrea Gamani's pass before finishing from 12 yards out. Manchester United kept their European hopes alive with a 3-2 victory over Newcastle United in the final home game of the season. Kobe Miano opened the scoring just after the half-hour mark through the Red Devils, where he pegged back early in the second half through Anthony Gordon. Amad Diallo then scored his first Premier League goal to put the host 2-1 up in the second half before Rasmus Højlund came off the bench to wrap up the points. Lewis Hall took advantage of some slack defending in stoppage time to set up a nervy finish, but the host feel strong to see him win. Eric Ten Hag's side remain in 8th, but are now level on points with Newcastle, who have a superior goal difference. Chelsea's win at Brighton means the Magpies drop to 7th. And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.